Hi everybody, welcome back. We're doing another chatting episode in which I try to debate for about a minute what I'm actually going to talk about, then go on a long tirade about it, which will be nonsensical, but you could still somehow barely make it out what I'm trying to talk about. On the way, we're going to play Hypixel. So, what am I going to talk about? Oh, right, this thing, National Lobby. That was something I was doing earlier. So I guess I'm just gonna, I actually don't know what to talk about. I mean, I didn't. Okay, firstly, that's the end of it. Secondly, I didn't plan to. I planned to do this with damage, but damage isn't here right now, so I don't have a thing to talk about. Public speaking. We're gonna talk about talking, but just in public. Why not? So, actually, as I can. Firstly, stop lagging. As I can obviously show, I am that decent at public speaking. Give me a script and I can easily talk about it. But if I'm trying to go ahead and just go ahead, yeah, if I'm gonna try and do something random or like just straight up out of the blue, like what I'm trying to do right now, it becomes incredibly difficult to make a coherent um, thing you can listen to, as evidenced by last time. So why does everybody not like public speaking? I mean, I guess you could have anxiety issues. Maybe it's like, oh, I really don't want to mess this up, so I'm gonna, shake my boots for about a solid minute. About, hey, what if I go ahead and mess up this entire speech? Oh no, everyone's gonna, make fun of me. I mean, I could see that. I could see that. It's like you don't want to be the person who's like, hey, I messed up an entire speech. Because, 9 times out of 10, people aren't going to go ahead and be nice to you about that. Because, you were the one that wrote that speech. You were the one that was supposed to have the speech about it. And to mess up public speaking, it's not great. However, yeah, we're going to cancel this. However, it's like, actually, let's real quickly go to arcade games. Their parkour is better. Anyways, however, I don't like to think of it that way because, like, public speaking, all you have to do is just not care. It's like that's something that which you could find hard, considering we're living in a world in which everything is judged, usually through the internet. But it's like if you push away all of that, it's if you push away all of that, like if you push away, hey, I'm gonna mess up and everyone's gonna laugh at me, then it becomes incredibly easier to just go ahead and talk because then you don't have that overhanging looming threat of I could mess up and thus everyone could find it and laugh at me. So if you just go ahead and teach yourself to not worry about public speaking, then you'd actually be fine. Like what I'm doing last time, the one where I went off about the public education system. I mean, like anybody, I'm guessing here, anybody would have been terrified the public speaking and like showing off like that, in which half the time you didn't even know what you were talking about, like what I was doing. But if for me, it's like I could care less. I'm just here talking, and you're listening, and I'm not. And while you guys could judge me on how I talk in public, how do I how do I make this jump? And while you guys could judge me on how I talk in public, I don't. I'm fine with it, honestly. It's like if you want to talk about how I talk in public, then okay, you could go off for about solid minute about how Twin is a very bad public speaker. But if you learn to talk in a public manner, then it becomes incredibly easy because it's almost natural. You just keep it flowing. You keep finding something to talk about. Just make sure to not make it blocky or chunky, because then better off just writing yourself a speech and then just going off like that. To that end, being that we're talking about public speaking now, let me tell you some public speaking stories I had. My first public speaking thing was, barring those, hey, come up to the front of the class and tell everyone what you wrote things. You remember those from school? Yeah, I never liked them. Nevertheless, barring those, the first public speaking I ever actually had was all the way back in 4th grade. I Before COVID, I used to attend this like story time thing in the library, and have COVID not started, I would have continued. Why? Because less. Really? How did I teleport? Yeah, all the way back. I would have continued going because I actually liked it. Not the stories, but the activities. Actually, the stories were actually pretty good as well. But I've done this so many times that I could remember the majority of stories that the storyteller had already recited. So, funny story about the storyteller. Let's call her Miss W. Miss W. She runs the summertime speaking program to get people to do exactly what I'm trying to do right now, to get people to be able to recite stories without having fear, because she doesn't, because usually she doesn't read off of a book. I mean, she does if she has the book on her hand, but she actually could recite stories she remembers from her head. So that was what we had to do. Firstly, we had to go ahead and find a book, read it, and then slowly remember it. And then at the end of it all, we'd be recorded about us reciting the story. That was pretty fun. I remember doing that, but that wasn't my first time talking in public. Because the first time I remember talking in public was with her. 4th grade. I'm one of the oldest people there. So anything that of which was need to be done for, say large events like Christmas, Thanksgiving, and such, all those were large events that of which she would create she would create activities for instead of like every Thursday activity, because it's a holiday. During those times, or during like other times, like say, I remember puppet shows. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get at. Usually, for large events like say Halloween or Christmas, she had puppet shows, right? And me being the because she had 2 people, right? She usually had 2 people in that room. She'd have the children, and she'd have high school helpers if she needed them. The high school helpers were the ones that were the ones that had the puppets, the ones that were running them. Community hours. And I was there, right? And it was either because no, not either because it was because she had known me for a while now. I've been visiting her since 2nd grade. She wanted me to be a narrator during one of the puppet shows. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but I did that public speaking very well. Thank you very much. I recited picture perfectly. Admittedly, I was reading off of a script, but hey. You know what? I'm not going to be continuing this. I think I'm just going to play a game of Sky Wars. So, yeah. I'm not trying to brag here, but I was very good at my job as a narrator. And that was my first public speaking. I forget. It was Cinderella. Right. It was a Cinderella puppet show. And I was the narrator who was like, Cinderella had until midnight. It was like background and exposition. Then Cinderella had until midnight, and she had to run all the way home and all that. My second time public speaking outside of those puppet shows now would be when I had to give a speech to the school. What was it about? It was, it was something in school, I remember, right? Public speaking and all that. However, I don't exactly remember what I was meant to talk about. Think it might have been. It might have been. I think. Don't quote me on this, but I think it might have been like public speaking. TNT. I think it might have been one of those public speaking events where it's like they try to teach you about public speaking. Ah, no. It might have been one of those things where it's like to teach about public speaking, you're gonna do public speaking. So I had public speaking, and it was in front of the grade, right? No. Where did I have a public speaking role in? It wasn't the grade. I'm trying to remember it because it's been so long, but it was like all the way back in 5th grade, which I try to remember so little of because it was annoying. Not, it was an annoying grade. Not that the teachers weren't bad, but it's like you're the oldest kids there now, so you're expected to show some form of respect and gratitude. So it fell upon us to be, nice and everything. And I never liked that. Why? Because get out. Get out. Nope. I fell. It was absolutely none of those. I am mixing this up utterly. It was another it was another puppet show, right? It's another puppet show, but not exactly a puppet show. Not in the same sense. She didn't. This time, I wasn't supposed to recite something for a puppet show. I was supposed to narrate this like entire thing. Essentially, she had a like small person. She had a small play, not a play. It's like, how do I put this in words? Whoa! No! I so close to killing him. It's like if you take. You ever seen those musicals where it's like you take a movie and then you make a musical out of it, like Mamma Mia? Or Legally Blonde, although technically it's the other way around, considering Legally Blonde was first, or Legally Blonde the musical was first. I think I'm not up to my musical knowledge. Yeah, it was one of those things. She had a rendition of Beauty. Jack and the Beanstalk. Right, she had a rendition of Jack and the Beanstalk up, and I was supposed to be narrating everything, which included narrating Jack falling down. Actually, she had fun thing. I was also the sound quote unquote sound director for that, right? Because I was the guy that has the script and everyone was playing a part in it. It fell upon me to, do everything to do everything in the background. So like if there was a music thing, I'd be the one to do it. So it was fun because I got to claim that I was a sound director. No, don't kill me. Don't kill me. No! Yeah, anyways, I was a sound director. And I was the guy that which played music. So I had bragging rights because I could go ahead in school and easily spin it off as, oh, I got a technical role in a play, which if that was a pretty fun thing to brag about all the way back in elementary school, because that was like a leadership role, and everyone was like, oh my god, yeah, cool. Although that was just limited to my friends, because that's the only people I'd ever tell them, or I'd even talk about this thing, because I was still very scared about telling everyone else that I went ahead and went to a afternoon thing. Yeah, so anyways, but I still had massive bragging rights with my friends. And it was fun. No! Why do I have a feeling you're like mildly cheating with how fast you managed to spin around? Anyways, was that all? Public speaking? Some stories, right? I think that was it. Yeah, I think that was it. Anyways, have a good day, everybody. If you like my content somehow, please manage to please consider liking and subscribing and telling your friends about me. Why? Because. Please. Thank you. Have a good day.